Cyclone Hudhud left a trail of death and destruction in its wake. Now the focus is on rehabilitation effort. But initially, the assessment has to be done. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is flying to Vishakapatnam tomorrow. These are pictures that you see of devastation. These are pictures of the Vishakapatnam airport. There are also other pictures of devastation across coastal Andhra. Let's take a look at this report filed by Headlines Today's Ratnika Sharma.
This huge crowd that you see around here are not waiting for milk, they're not waiting for water, they're waiting for petrol and diesel. I'm here at one of the petrol bunks in Vishakapatnam city, and people have been really waiting here from morning, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Huge mad scramble for petrol and diesel. A lot of people angry also. So, మీరు ఎప్పటి నుంచి వెయిట్ చేస్తున్నారు?
నేను పొద్దు నుంచి వెయిట్ చేస్తున్నానండి. 100 రూపాయలు దొరికి ఇంకో 100 రూపాయల గురించి ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను.
ఇక్కడ అందరూ లైన్ లో ఎక్కడ దూరిపోతున్నారు. చాలా
బొంకులో వెయిట్ చేస్తామండి. దాంట్లో 100 రూపాయలు దొరికింది, దీంట్లో వెయిట్ చేస్తున్నాం మళ్ళీ.
Lot of anger here. As you can see, anger is quite palatable. People are making a lot of noise, lot of horns. People are just going crazy here. Basak. All they want is petrol and diesel for either their vehicle or generators for electricity. With camera person Manohar Reddy, Ratnika Sharma in Vishakapatnam for Headlines Today. What was once the beautiful Vishakapatnam airport, now all in shambles because of Cyclone Hudhud. Literally wreaked havoc in the airport. It does not even look like an airport right now. All billboards, scrap metal fallen, looks like a scrap house. In fact, if you can see broken glass on the floor everywhere around, the corrugated tin roof just falling out of place. The airport now all dilapidated, absolutely unbelievable. People just cannot believe that the airport is looking like this. The runway, we are told, is really flooded. Now this Vishakapatnam airport sees about 800 to 900 people coming in and out of the airport every day, and about 18 to 19 flights flying in and out of Vishakapatnam airport every day. But with this kind of destruction, officials are not very sure when rebuilding and construction can happen and Vishakapatnam airport will be again functional. With camera person Manohar Reddy, Ratnika Sharma in Vishakapatnam for Headlines Today.
The military portion of the Vishakapatnam airport is called Indian Naval Ship Dega. It's handled by the Indian Navy. The Indian Navy landed an aircraft today. Visual flying is happening in this area, but instrument flying will take some time because instrumentation will take some time. The Airport Authority of India and several other agencies are engaged in that task. Headlines Today's T.S. Sudhir, editor south with me. Sudhir, visual flying happening. The Navy was able to land an aircraft. The Air Force was able to fly. But for civil aircraft, landing at Vishakapatnam is still some time away.
Absolutely. In fact, we are told that even the air traffic control equipment has suffered some damage. So they will take some time before they can actually start passenger traffic. So, and of course, the visuals of inside the terminal building. Remember, this is only a 5-year-old terminal. It was inaugurated in February 2009. So that also says a lot about the quality of construction. In fact, we can now go across to Parakala Prabhakar, who is the communications advisor to the Andhra Pradesh government. Mr. Prabhakar, the NDRF in charge there in Vishakapatnam said that Vizag will have to be rebuilt from scratch. Now, is that an assessment that your government also shares?
I think the situation is much more grim than what we had expected. You see, the kind of preparatory work that we had done for the last 4 days or 5 days in integrating the technology, the satellite mapping and everything, you know, we could prevent a lot of loss of life. In fact, the loss of life is very minimum this cyclone. But you see, the point is that probably for the first time, the entire weight of the cyclone has landed in an urban area, which is a pretty well-grown urban metropolis. That is the reason why the damage to the property, especially the urban infrastructure, is huge in this case. Probably the NDRF chief is right. It requires a lot of work. It's a big challenge for us, and we do expect the union government to stand by us and come to our rescue.
Right. Dr. Prabhakar, we are also playing out these visuals of the Vishakapatnam airport. Now, that airport is a symbol of the havoc that Cyclone Hudhud actually caused in that port city. Now, it's a new terminal building started in February 2009. Now, is it not a sad commentary on the quality of construction of that airport terminal that it got blown away like a pack of cards?
One can probably hazard that kind of a guess, but then I would like to reserve my comment on that. It also, on the other hand, shows the kind of intensity and the strength of the storm that has hit Vishakapatnam. We should also look at it from that point of view, but I'm certainly not ruling out the compromise in the quality of the construction. But I would like to, look at it from the other point of view as well.
Right, Mr. Parakala Prabhakar, stay on with us. We also have Jugal Purohit, who has been reporting from Vishakapatnam on headlines today since yesterday morning. Jugal, there you heard Mr. Prabhakar saying that this was not expected. The Andhra Pradesh government did not anticipate wind speeds going up to 195 kilometers per hour. This is not something which is normal. But obviously, is that an assessment? Is that something which the people of Vishakapatnam agree with? Do they understand that condition? And how soon do they expect things to come back to normal as far as power supply is concerned, as far as mobile services are concerned, and as far as, most importantly, the fuel supply is concerned?
Well, Sudhir, all these counts, insofar as the people of Vishakapatnam itself is concerned, of course they want these services to be restored as soon as possible. But let me just share with you and our viewers, Sudhir, that yesterday morning, which is when we actually arrived in Vishakapatnam, people told us that for precautionary reasons, electricity had been cut off the night before. So they've been living in some sort of a difficulty from then on. And after that, what took place took everyone by surprise, including the administration. Now, obviously, no city has perhaps been built to, take a cyclone of this type and magnitude. But one must also keep this in mind, Sudhir, that if you are to look at the statistics of the kind of cyclones that erupt in Bay of Bengal and in Arabian Sea, it's the Andhra Pradesh coast and Orissa coast which are actually there, who bear the brunt of these cyclones which emerge. So one really wonders as to just how is it that even before the cyclone could actually start, the mobile services were completely gone. Fuel supply has still not been restored. I was just mentioning when we went to Bhimlipatnam, the NDRF clears all the roads for you, but there is no state administration present there at the worst affected area. It was decided and known well in advance that Bhimlipatnam in fact will be the spot of landfall, and yet after you have the cyclone gone for more than 13-14 hours, the people are saying that we haven't even got water from the administration. So yes, one can't perhaps prepare for such a cyclone, but one can definitely prepare for a better response to the cyclone, which unfortunately was not there on the ground. That's what the people told us.
Right, very important points there you raised, Jugal. Ratnika, you are there with residents of Vishakapatnam, people who have been pretty distressed at what really happened. Do they also share the same assessment of the fact that perhaps the Andhra Pradesh government could have done more, or do they understand that this was a situation perhaps even the past that we could not really control and do anything about?
Well, Sudhir, on this there are definitely mixed feelings. There's a group which says, which thinks that the state administration has not done enough. They should be really seen on the road, trying to clear everything and giving them electricity and water as soon as possible. However, there's also another group which thinks that such a calamity and of such a degree really demands a lot more days for things to get back on track. I'm also joined by a few youngsters here, Sudhir, who really are, apart from the fact that they're stunned by the cyclone and something that has come here, but it's also affected them. Internet is gone, communication is gone, the constant WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, everything's gone. How is it affecting you?
Yeah, as there was no power in the city and we could not charge our phones and all, there was a huge communication problem in the city. We were not able to contact our friends and relatives even in the city alone. So we are really feeling handicapped without the technology and without the updates on internet.
You were also present at the petrol pump today. You've been standing there for 4-5 hours trying to get petrol. How was the entire situation there?
Yeah, the situation was chaotic. I mean, the people were very disappointed with the administration as they were not able to provide enough fuel for the city. A lot of petrol bunks are shut due to non-availability of power. So I think there's a problem in the management of the...
So that's the kind of response that we've been getting from the residents of Vishakapatnam. Back to you, Pradeep.
Right, obviously they want everything to be back to normal as soon as possible, as Ratnika Sharma and Jugal Purohit were pointing out. Thanks a lot for those live reports coming from Vishakapatnam. We are also joined on the phone line by Srinivas Murthy, who has been a resident of Vishakapatnam for many years. Mr. Srinivas Murthy, is it a huge emotional loss for you seeing your city where you have lived for many years like this completely destroyed, especially a structure like the airport which now is reduced to rubble?
Definitely yes. I mean, especially I have been always considering Vizag as one of the most beautiful city in the country. And it has some unique landscape feature where the mountains and the beaches and sea are all together, and it's one of the most green cities you will find in the country. It was also one of the very clean cities, and what you are getting to see on the TV screen today is really very disturbing. My heart really goes out for all the people and who are still there. Luckily, I am in Hyderabad for the last couple of years, but as you said, Vizag was my home for many years, and I remember many of those places and structures which have now fallen or destructed, and especially when you mentioned the airport, which is in fact a new building. It's only a 5-year-old building, and it's sad to see that new constructions are also falling apart.
Right.
So it's really a sad moment for all those people who like Vizag a lot.
Absolutely. We do share your concerns. In fact, it has been a very distressing moment for everyone who has been associated with Vizag in one way or the other. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be leaving for Vishakapatnam tomorrow morning and making that aerial survey to see the damage for himself. We are taking a close look on the day after Cyclone Hudhud, and we are focusing on the destruction in the port city of Vishakapatnam. Dr. Parakala Prabhakar, Communications Advisor to the Andhra Pradesh government, is still with us. Dr. Prabhakar, you heard before the break many residents of Vizag telling our reporter Ratnika Sharma that they would want things to be back to normal as soon as possible. Now, what would the Andhra Pradesh government tell those people in Vishakapatnam? How many more days before fuel supply, power supply, mobile phones, water supply, everything is back to normal?
So we are working day and night, especially we want to urgently restore the communication facilities as well as the power and energy situation. There are about more than 2,000 personnel on the ground working, especially in Vishakapatnam and north of Vishakapatnam. There are about 300 engineers who are working, and rest of them are the ground staff. They are working very, very hard. In fact, the mobile towers, we have called all the service providers, and we asked them what kind of difficulties they have in rebuilding the infrastructure. And they wanted diesel, they wanted petrol, they wanted police escort to reach those towers, etc. We are providing. And most probably by midnight tonight, in phases, we will be able to restore some of it, not fully, but partially.
Dr. Prabhakar, let's put this in context. Vishakapatnam is Andhra Pradesh's biggest city. A destruction like this, what does it really do to brand Vizag and brand Andhra Pradesh by extension?
No, this is a natural calamity. This is not nothing to do, it's not man-made. Brand Vishakapatnam, I don't think it is going to suffer, take a beating or anything. I think it also, the kind of rescue work, the kind of rehabilitation work that we are able to do, and the swiftness with which we are doing it, would in fact increase the brand Andhra Pradesh and brand Chief Minister.
Right, Dr. Parakala Prabhakar, thanks a lot for joining us on Headlines today. We do hope things come back to normal in those 3 north coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh. Now for moments which you will actually never see on television. Headlines today's reporters actually braving themselves and actually risking their lives on ground zero there on the north coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh and in Orissa, and bringing you these images on Headlines today.
Right now, not a single living organism is outside. It can't eat. What we are seeing here is the severest phase of the cyclone. Also, the last phase is perhaps, in a sense, the attempt being made by the cyclone to let us all know of the kind of potential that the cyclone has to cause death, devastation, and destruction.
तो सर पर आ गया है. अब तो जितनी जल्दी निकल जाए उतना ही बेहतर है. कैमरामैन साजिद आलम के साथ संजय शर्मा, विशाखापट्टनम, आज तक.
सारे जिलों में जैसे कि विशाखापट्टनम, विजयनगरम और श्रीकाकुलम में कल से ही बिजली पूरी तरीके से गुल है, कोई बत्ती, कोई बिजली नहीं है। और ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि साइक्लोन चक्रवात हुदहुद लैंडफॉल करने के पहले मौसम और भी ज्यादा खराब होगा।
Try and show if it is possible to do just what is the scene outside. You're seeing it's just sheer madness, the kind of situation which nothing really can prepare you. No amount of warnings, no amount of publicity and no amount of awareness can prepare you to actually come face to face with what you are seeing on your screens right now. It's impossible to stand out there. You're hearing the sound. It's an ominous sign of the times to come. With Nikhil Sharma in the city of Vishakapatnam, Jugal Purohit for Headlines Today.